All right. I missed it. All right. Greetings. This is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's Wednesday, and it is our weekly Anyone Can Farm question and answer Wednesday night live chat from Baker's in lovely downtown Marion. Actually, it's not downtown. We're in the suburbs. And I do have Miss Jill here by my side, and she's manning the laptop computer, and we are ready to go. Today, we had to butcher chickens today, our own. We've been slammed lately. We're one of the only processors that's still going, and we did 200 on Monday. We did 89 of our own today, and then we have another 200 to do tomorrow. And our own chickens, we've noticed that they've really sprouted in the last couple of days, so we're going to try and fit in as many as we can, because it is supposed to be extremely hot over the next few days, and that's when you lose birds. As a matter of fact, we lost 2 today. And some helpful hints on that. What the problem is if there's no air from them, then they get heat stressed. And what you can do is you can actually get a fan out there to just get some air going over them. If that's not possible because of the location, you can get out in front of them with a power washer and create a little microclimate right in front of them, and that will cool them down. I've done that before. I didn't have to do it today. It was not so bad that we were in danger of losing great amount, but we did lose 2 nice birds, and that was not good. We were keeping an eye on them, and then we went out, and there was 2 of them, but the sun was on its way down, and Jill and I went out and fashioned a sunscreen for them, and that seemed to work pretty good. Yeah, we weren't here last night because it was my youngest son's birthday. Actually, it's his birthday week, and around here, that's kind of what we do, is we spend a lot of time on birthdays. And what some of these kids really like to do is to go to General Jim's, and it's over in Clare, and it's an Army-Navy surplus store, and we've been going there for a long time. And you have new kids come along, and they think it's the greatest thing, and so General Jim's it was. We went over there yesterday kind of early, and then stopped at a lake on the way home and did some swimming, and then just did some stuff around here in the evening. Kids were pretty tired by the time it was over. I see a pig out there rubbing on that. See that that post with the bird feeder on it? I just saw that bird feeder go violently back and forth, and all the swallows came flying out of it. Kind of startled me there for a minute. So here we are. It's a warm day in the summer, and we put in a hard day's work today, and we've got another one tomorrow. While we're going here, people are going to be pulling in to drop off their chickens, but the kids are going to take care of it. Another thing that happened, last night our refrigerator quit, and so we pulled it apart last night to see what was wrong with it. Couldn't really see much, and I called the guy today, and he came and got into it a little further, and sure enough, there was just oh, look at that, he's doing it again, rubbing on that post. And there was a big ice block against one of the fans because it's been so humid lately. And anyway, we got it straightened out, and it's back in service. Kids are in there cleaning it out right now, and we're going to have all of our stuff put back in it, and that'll be nice. So I got me a cup of coffee going. I don't know the wisdom of that because I am kind of tired, and I probably should just be going to bed, but I'm going to drink me a cup of coffee now because I feel like it. Last night I mentioned something, and I'll give you a little teaser while you're getting your questions in, or anything that you'd like to talk about tonight. something I've been thinking about, and I listened to a podcast recently, and the guy brought it up, and it fit in with what we do, what you and I do, and what we talk about here. And I thought, that the guy is identifying something that that we could talk about here. And once we know it, once we embrace it, we can press forward with it, right? So it's part of the farming world. You just don't really have a name for it, I guess. But what this guy said was, we're absolutely surrounded with negative energy, and like I say a lot of times, it's upside down world. You're expected to, a man comes out and says, "I'm a woman now," and you're expected to play along with the twisted mental fantasy that this person is having. And if you don't play along, if you don't make believe with this psychological problem, I'm a woman now because I say I am, then you're somehow a bad person, because you won't play along and you won't go along with the fantasy. So it's kind of an upside down world, and there's a lot of those things. And even in what we are doing here, I think there's some of that, because we look at conventional, I'll put that in air quotes, conventional farming, and we see the conventional farmers with huge tractors and very expensive pieces of equipment that they're hauling stuff with, and making things happen out in the fields. And we think, gee, I guess we're not really doing things right. It just, we don't seem to be as profitable as them. And it just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of research to see the reality of this. A lot of times you don't see the huge amount of debt that those people have. You don't see the behind the scenes work that's done to get subsidies from the U.S. government. What is a subsidy? Subsidy is when they take money from certain people and they give it to other certain people. Well, who makes that decision and why? Isn't my type of farming, don't I qualify for a subsidy? No, why not? Of course we know why, because it's upside down world. Agriculture is a lot like the medical world in a lot of ways. We are here to steward this land, and this land will give us an abundant crop. It will. But we're here to take care of it, and that's our job, right? So in conventional agriculture, yesterday morning, as a matter of fact, I'll just give you an example. It's all around us, though. There's a field next to my place, an 80-acre, that's for sale, by the way. And was it yesterday morning, or it was Monday morning? We were woken up at probably about...
No, it was Tuesday.
Was Tuesday?
Yep.
Tuesday. And today's Wednesday.
Then we took off right away.
Oh, yeah. We were woken up with this just horrible, horrible smell coming in our windows. And what it was there's a farm about 5 miles away from us. You wouldn't know it's a farm to look at it, because all you see is buildings. You don't see any cows. You don't see anything. If they didn't call it a farm, you wouldn't know it's a farm. And then this mountain of silage behind it. And they haul manure from 5 miles away down here next to me, and they spray it out on this field. And it's a disposal method. They have to just get rid of it. And of course, the drivers are expected to put it down at the correct rate, so it doesn't run off into the rivers and streams and things like that. But of course it does. And the pollution that it causes is just unbelievable. I mean, we left here yesterday early because it smelled so bad. It was it was almost kind of hard to take a breath. And it does burn your eyes, and you can feel it in your head and stuff. And Jill's allergies goes crazy and stuff. And now they're back tonight, and they're doing it again. They didn't just get the whole 40 acres done; they did about 20 of it, and now they're going to come back and they're going to do another 20 right now at 8 o'clock at night, with absolutely no regard for the people that live here. And I just think that it's upside down. But yet the law protects them, but does not protect us. We're in an upside down world. Um, you can go into Washington D.C. and you can tear down monuments, and they'll just kind of watch you do it. The cops will stand there with their hands in their pockets. They don't want to. I'm not blaming the cops. Cops would probably like to whack all those people. But if you do touch them, then you're prosecuted, but they can cause destruction, and nothing seems to happen to them, at least not yet. So it appears to be upside down world. It's like the criminals are protected, but the law-abiding citizens are persecuted. That poor guy I was telling you about the other night. Him and his wife, they in Baltimore, they had a play. I saw him interviewed today, and they're in their house getting ready to eat, and here comes this mob, busts through their gate, 300 people, and the guy comes out with an AR and levels it off at him, and they kept going. And now I think, who is it? The Attorney General of the state wants to prosecute him because he was disrupting a peaceful protest, right? They bust through his gate and they trespass on his property. It's upside down world. And when that happens, what happens to us is we have a tendency to lose hope, right? And when we lose hope, what happens is despair sets in, right? You just say, nothing goes right. Nothing's gonna work. And that disparity leads to hopelessness, right? So, see, there comes the smell. The smell just wafted over. Horrible. So now for the next couple days, we have to live in their stink, and they get away with it, And there's really nothing we can do about it. So it is disheartening, and that causes me despair because I live in this beautiful environment, and then that supposed farm 5 miles up the road comes and stinks us up like that, and it's just. We don't get anything out of that farm, but we get the pollution from it. It's sad. So I don't know if we'll be able to continue out here. If it gets too rough, we'll just have to head in. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And we have to close up the windows in the house, so then it's hot in the house to sleep and everything. We really hate those guys. Really hate them. And everybody around this neighborhood does too. It's really gotten bad over the years. It used to be, it seemed like they did it very quickly. It was once and it was over. Now it seems to be continuous. And I don't know. Maybe at some point there'll be a class action suit. I know that I would definitely join that if there was, because it's just very difficult. The most beautiful time of the year too. Why don't they do it in the wintertime when people are in the houses? Okay, so we are going to do question and answers tonight, but I want to just tease this out a little bit for tomorrow night because I want to dive into this deep. I've seen a lot of optimism amongst farms. I'm not seeing it here. Like the driver of that is a $10 an hour employee that's just told, get in that tractor and take it up onto Briggs Road and do it. He's gonna just go home, and they're not doing very well. Those farms don't even pay very well. So there's not a lot of hope in that type of farming. But in this type of farming, we're demonstrating that you can take very little, and then from the earth comes a great abundance, and it's there for us. And with that comes hope. And there is definitely a grounding that comes from being part of a bigger system. And I say this a lot of times, like, we may have planted the corn out in that field. We may have done that, but we didn't make the seed. We didn't have much if anything to do with the process of that seed germinating and growing to size. Hey, we'll put water on it. We can do that, and we can go out there and we can pick the corn. We can put butter and salt on it. We can eat that. We're real good at that. But most of it, we're just here along with it, and we do certain parts of it. And you know, you live in reality world in farming. You live in reality world. You don't live in a world where, especially me, like Bruce Jenner was. He was somewhat popular when I was a kid. You know, the decathlon winner. And then now he decides that he's going to be a girl, and so he puts a dress on and says, "Call me Jane," or whatever his name is. Yeah, it's crazy. But in the farming world, there is none of that. There is no playing make believe. You know, if you have bugs in the potatoes, you can make believe they're not there if you want, but it's not going to change anything, right? You can make believe there's bugs in the potatoes when there are none, and then you can go down the coffee shop and complain. I don't know. I don't think people really do that, but that's not reality, and it wouldn't change anything. When your animals live and are healthy, that's the reality. When you do this, this, and this, and you get this, this, and this from it, that's the reality of farming. And there's something about that that's very grounding and settling and peaceful about it. Very, very peaceful. So anyway, I'm just wetting your whistle on that, but I want to get into that more tomorrow. And I believe I will have enough information on that tomorrow to where we can extrude this subject out, and it will become a part of your psychological toolbox to approach your homestead or farmstead or small farms operation, and maybe just your life, maybe. And this, it kind of came to me when we were doing chickens the other day. So I am going to think about it a little bit more and go for it. I wanted to also give a shout out to Rachel Jameson, because she mentioned the video that I made last night on the tribe today about being an agent of hope. Because what I'm doing here is I'm saying, hey, there is hope. I am optimistic. And when I say I'm optimistic about all the stuff that's going down, I'm not just saying it to make you feel good. I'm not a preacher standing up here saying things just to say them. I am truly optimistic, because in all the crummy stuff that we see, I see the agents of deception, right? I see them. And if you are willing to look, they stand out like a sore thumb. And you listen to what they say, and it seems as though they're trying to fool us. So I can just go down the list, but all you have to do is look at the mainstream media, personalities, and there's a lot of people that are saying, well, I'm this, I'm not really that, because I say so, I'm this. And so they're fooling themselves. Why wouldn't they try and fool you? Why wouldn't the mainstream media hire people that are real good at deception? Seems to me they are. And so not all the time, but a lot of times when they say, hey, it's time for us all to go south, this kid's going north, because they are liars. And nowadays, this is becoming really obvious to me. Yesterday, we went out. We went to General Jim's, so we had to go out in public. And we got to see people that seems like they're sucking up all the information that's coming out of mainstream media, and they act on it. And how do you know? Well, most of them got face masks on, so that's a place to start. But just the fear that they're living in, that's being created, and once they have that fear and they have that lack of hope, it takes away their will to resist that, and they just fall into it. They just lap it right up, and then they become agents of despair, right? So I want to get into this tomorrow. I'm going to cut it off here, but prepare for a discussion tomorrow night on being an agent of hope and the homestead. All right, so I'll leave it right there. That's my thing. Is there anything else? We definitely opened up another class day. And let me grab the calendar here. Catching me in my swim shorts. Yep, I had to swim today. All right, I'm not sure how this is going to go. We're just going to throw this date out there and we'll see what happens. But if you are interested in getting in on this, this is going to be a December hog harvest, and this is an alternate day to our regular November one. Me a deposit 6th of December. You might be thinking, oh no, it's cold. It is, but we have facilities here. Some of the work will be outside. I prefer to do most of it outside because I prefer to do homestead hog facilities as possible, because if you're a new homestead and you want to do a hog harvest, chances are you're not going to have a butcher shop. Can you do a homestead hog harvest without a butcher shop? The answer is yeah, absolutely. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to demonstrate. A couple things that we use that, if you're coming to this and you want to put together some of the equipment, I'll just give you a heads up. You need some way to pick a pig up. So like a chain hoist or something along those lines, an electric chain hoist or a manual chain hoist. We use a manual one. Not opposed to electric ones. I just don't have one that's on the list. A scalding pot. I have a real, 1800 scalding pot, and works really well. And then we need a few tables. That's it. That's all you need. Then you need some knives. I shouldn't say that's all you need, because you've got to have some knives. You probably need a bone saw, which looks like a little bit bigger hacksaw, and it's got a special blade on it that's made just for cutting through bone. And that'll do it, I guess. So December 20. The other classes are going to be let me see. Yeah, the Beaver Island class is going to be the 13th, 14th, and 15th. For information, the farm owners on Beaver Island, and you would be setting up everything with them. Okay? And
I'll have that on the website
That'll
by
be-
the end of the weekend.
all right, it'll be on the website by the end of the weekend. Jill's doing all she can to get caught up, but with all the processing we're doing, it's just really setting us back a little bit. Okay, I'm ready to go.
All right.
We had a question, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you Brittany's question first since she's here. Um, how how do you decide how many pigs to keep for butchering for others, as in selling for whole and half hogs? Um, she's just having trouble competing with her wieners with all the pink pigs that are flooding the market this year.
Yeah, that's. I hear what you're saying. Okay, for those of you that don't understand the question, Brittany's concerned because what happened was because of COVID, the processing plants were waylaid. A lot of the employees, go figure, USDA went in there and found out a lot of the employees had COVID, and so they shut them down. And so a lot of growers of pink pigs, those would be the pigs that you see in concentrated animal feeding operations, wound up becoming a liability to them because they couldn't get them processed. So they have a pipeline in those massive buildings that they just jam pigs in. It's a pipeline, and there's no air gaps in that pipeline. So when you have a group of pigs that's ready to go on a semi and go to the processing plant, but the processing plant's closed, now you got all these pigs that you got to do something with. And what they did was they slaughtered a whole bunch of them, just euthanized them and buried them. It was pretty sad. But see, this is one of the things I want to get into tomorrow, and I'm going to tease it out a little bit more. You hear all the time about the deep state, right? The deep state. And the deep state is definitely upside down world. Like, the state is there to serve the people who put them there, who pay their salaries. But what does the deep state do? The deep state actually hurts the people, limits the people, restricts the people, steals from the people. So do you have other deep organizations? Yeah, you do. You have deep agriculture. It's because people have gotten in there and greed has gotten the best of them. And so they create these entities like this pipeline for feeding pigs, to where if there's a hiccup in it, then they have to just destroy those beings. You know, they're not even being used for what they were intended for. Never mind, their lives are spent on a slatted floor in horrible conditions. You know, it's just, it's not what agriculture should be. Agriculture should be like medicine, where you do no harm to the animals, the flora and fauna that you're in charge of, that you're stewarding. You're not supposed to do any harm to them. But it's become, like what these guys are doing right here, harmful to other beings. That what they're doing is harmful to me. And who do they get protected from? The deep state, right? See? So what Brittany is doing, Brittany's running a farm like ours, Homestead, hog operation. If there's a holdup in processing, then she just holds it up a little bit. You know, you're not going to go out there and just shoot the pig and throw it in a hall. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't waste that. You wouldn't, how would the steward be viewed by the creator for that? You did what? And I entrusted you with these animals, and you did what? So this, what goes on over here, I can't think that the creator would be proud of that in any way, and I don't see that being blessed in any way. I'm not thinking about the guy that owns that and saying, I'm going to send him a Christmas card this year. No, I'm not thinking that. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking very ugly things about him, but I'm gonna hold from doing that because I want to be an agent of hope, and those thoughts are not hopeful thoughts. So I'm gonna let that go. But Brittany, what you want to do is sift through this ball of twine that has been created here by the deep state. All right, they created this, and they've created the shortage in butchering. They've created the whole lockdown, all that. They've created that. They create chaos, and hopefully they can get their way out of it. It's not going to work. I'm hopeful for that, but the way you can beat that, and I'm not sure if you're in a position to do this, is if you can sell your piglets to somebody and then guarantee them that you can process them for them when the time comes, then you're up one from the guys that are practically giving away their pink pigs. Because you get those pink pigs and there's no place for you to take them right now to process them. I think the dates are out to March by now. So that's the way you could beat that. I'm not dealing with any of that here because we have a completely different system. I don't sell my pigs into the pipeline that the pink pigs are in. And they wouldn't want my pigs anyway. They fought my pigs tooth and nail to keep our pigs off the landscape because our pigs make their pigs look like bologna next to prime rib. You know, they just put them to shame every time. And your pigs, Brittany, will too. If somebody says to you, well, why should I pay for your pig? Because I can get this pig over here. I can get this one for nothing. And it's already raised out. You should be educating them on the, the high points of the Mangalitsa pig. And there are many. And how do you do that? Well, the best way to do it is slide them a couple pork chops and say, here, try this, if you think those pigs are any good. And that changes everything, because once they eat it, then they say, oh, I got to have that. That is good stuff. So that's probably the best way you can do that. Now, does that happen overnight? No, it doesn't. But your little baby pigs are, they're easy to feed at first. And grow your market as your operation expands. And I'll say it again, Jill and I strongly recommend that you start a database of people that are interested in what you're doing and have their email so you can send out a blast. Hey, we're going to be butchering some pigs this weekend. Then learn how to do it. Set yourself up a cursory area. When your baby comes, you can put them on a bassinet right over there by the meat grinder. It's not a pretty picture, is it? And you can be working in there while the baby's sleeping, and you can be grinding meat and making sausage and all that stuff, salting meat and cutting pork chops off. Whack! You can be doing all that stuff and doing the cut and doing the wrapping and all that stuff. And it's a nice sideline having a butcher shop on the side. And I guess the next question is going to be, well, doesn't that take a lot of, regulation hurdles and all that stuff? Absolutely not. If you sell somebody a pig and you say, you want me to butcher that for you? And you have a little setup on your property, it's between you and them. It's almost like saying, hey, would you like to give me a back rub? And they say, yes. You say, well, come in and lay down on the couch. I'll give you a back rub. Shouldn't we check with the township over this? No, you just do it, right? Now, don't make a big deal out of it unless you want attention. But if you do get attention, just ignore the attention and say, none of your business. Because it is none of anybody's business. Whether you're butchering a chicken on your farm or a pig or a horse, it's nobody's business. I got to be careful about that horse thing, because one time our butcher shop used to be a custom exempt butcher shop, and that's where you apply for an exempt status from the USDA. Do I need to apply for that? It seems kind of idiotic, but You have to apply for it. They come and check and make sure that you have screens on the windows and stuff. So you're actually asking them to come on and inspect you anyway. It's kind of a dumb thing. I'm not that way anymore. I wouldn't ever do that. I just rely on my constitution to protect me. But the man was here, and he was doing an annual inspection, and I said to him, "Hey, a guy asked me if I would butcher a horse for him." I said, "Is that legal? Can you do that?" And the USDA guy's like, "Well, I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know." And he says, "I'll check and I'll get back to you." Well, he never got back to me, but he went to another butcher shop and he says, "Hey, Mark's thinking about butchering horses at his place." Kid you not. Well, the word of that got around that I was butchering horses here. I never butchered a horse here. Never did. Butchered a couple of llamas, but no horses. And then years and years went by, and I got a phone call from a gal that lives maybe 2-3 miles away, and she says, "Have you seen my horse?" And I said, "I don't think so." I mean, no, I don't think I have. And she was like, "Oh, well, okay." Then the next day, a truck pulls up in the driveway, and we were butchering chickens, and I have this this yellow vinyl apron that I wear sometimes, and it gets covered with blood from chickens. And this truck pulls up in the driveway, and I go out to see who it is, and it's this girl. And she comes down with her hands on her hips, and she says, "Is my horse here?" And I said, No, it's just my horse over there." And I started to kind of figure out that she thought that I had stolen her horse and had butchered it, right? And she asked me a couple other times if I'd seen her horse, and then all the other horse people from around here, the big belt buckle wearing, cowboy hat wearing people, they all showed up over her place, and they were organizing, and they were scouring the neighborhood on horseback looking for her horse. And she found her horse. It was at her grandma's house. It was 5 miles the other direction. So, funny story anyway. Got to be careful what you say about horses.
So did
Okay.
you answer her question about how many pigs, how you decide to keep
Well,
how many pigs for butcher?
You got to have customers for them, and sometimes you got to roll the dice. I wish I had a bunch more pigs right now because I could sell them, but I didn't foresee COVID-19 coming. So I don't know what to tell you. You want to get people that want a pig, and you got to be careful with that, because people will say, "Oh yeah, I want a pig," but then when it comes time to pay for the pig, then it's Grandma needed cataracts, and I don't have the money. That's happened to us a lot of times. So we're very hardened, business people now, and it's like, "Oh no, we need a deposit, and we don't have any problem." And if somebody won't pay a deposit, then you don't want to take their word for it. You just don't. Now, when the next time comes around, when somebody has purchased something from you, and they say, "Oh, I definitely want another one. I want another batch of chickens from you," then it's like, yeah, okay, because I'm weighing it out, and I'm thinking, I really don't want your deposit. I don't want this money in my possession until I've delivered your stuff to you. I just want to make sure you're going to take delivery of it. And if they've taken delivery of one group of things, chances are pretty good they're going to take delivery of another group of things. So that's about the best I can tell you, unless there's something else that she's asking me. Do you think that's a pretty good answer for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of do what you can, and if you don't sell all your wiener pigs, then you start lining up, getting deposits, and start pushing butcher hogs in the fall. So.
And then, if you have, the best advice I'm giving you now is to come to the December class, learn how to do this, and then if you have pigs that are ready and you don't have a customer for them, butcher them. And then they're in the freezer and they're not costing you any money in feed. They're stabilized. They're shelf stable in the freezer. And where are you? They're way over there, way over in Minnesota. It gets cold over here, over there, I heard. Um, your freezers don't even run in the wintertime much, if you have them out in the garage. So, um, make an investment in your operation. Get a good meat grinder now, a good one, and get some stainless steel tables to work on, and get, some nice Victorinox knives for butchering. Even if you don't have the skill yet, it'll kind of push you to the place where you get the skill, and then come over here, come over on the ferry, on the SS Badger. No, that's Wisconsin, isn't it? But, and learn from us, and we'll have a good time. But that is the choke point right now in farming operations, is processing of animals. It is the choke point. So if you want to look out across the fruited plain and see where there is opportunity, look to the choke point, and then provide the service that is lacking. And if you can provide that service, you can do quite well. We probably make better money butchering other people's chickens than raising and processing our own. If you crunch the numbers real hard, which we have a hard time doing, and we have a hard time crunching the numbers because our children work for us, and the jury's out. Are we having the children work for us to make money off of them, like little slaves? No, it's to challenge them with long days' work, and stressful situations. That is what it is all about. Well, not completely, because if that was it, I would I would just, set up scenarios. But here's my kids. They did 200 of them on Monday. And then today, Wednesday, we did 89 of them. And now tomorrow we got another 200 of them. So I had the opportunity to sit down with them and say, yeah, this is tough. But you're going to get paid good. And you're going to have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And it's 4th of July, so we can go and buy fireworks. And it's going to be Frank's birthday on Friday night. So, let's just grin and bear it. And when it's over, it's over. And I think I might have mentioned this. I don't remember if I did. But Monday, we finished up at 11:55. Okay, because we got up early because we wanted to work when it was cool. And 200 birds, 11:55 is when we, moved from the outside. All of them were on the inside. They were all dead, and they were either on the table, or they were in the cooling water, or they had been packaged and been in the cooler. So we were well along the way, and we were starting to clean up the back end of the operation. And I said to Jim, hey, we're getting pretty good at this. And he says, yeah, it really wasn't that bad. Because by the time we got started and we got the oldies going on the radio, it was over. It went really quick. So this morning, what do? We started at 8:30. So we hit the clock at 8:30, said go, and let's see how many we can get done. We thought we had 80. We had 89. And we got them done in 1.5 hours, right? Dead, off the cutting table, in the water, at least. So that was pretty good. Okay.
Would you like another question?
Yeah, I'll take another question.
Brittany, really quickly, wanted to know, do you pay your kids?
Yeah, we do. We pay them cash. And that's a smart thing to do. Not because they need it, but so they learn, You know, I put out effort, I make sacrifice, and I get this. And with this, I can get this. And so yesterday at General Jim's, I'll go through the list of what they bought. Frank bought duct tape. He bought a Trump 2020 hat, Make America Great Again. No, Keep America Great Again hat. Thought that was the greatest thing. He was so proud of that. He bought a new pocket knife. He bought some 550 cord, which is that poly cord that it's actually a military thing. Bought a whole bunch of that. And what else did he get?
Jackknife.
I already
got
said
that.
jackknife.
Oh.
So,
Oh, a birthday present for Kyle.
oh, and a birthday present for my oldest son. So, that's coming up here in July. So that's how he spent his money. And, oh, he got an airsoft gun too, right? And I was fine with all of those things. You know, it wasn't like he was buying something that was gonna hurt him, you know? He wasn't buying cigarettes, you know? He was buying good stuff that's gonna help expand his mind. A boy's gotta have duct tape, right? Actually, that's what I fixed the refrigerator with today. So I think it is important to pay them because they need to leave your home with an understanding of how dollars work, and actually new farmers need to know how those dollars work too. It's just something that probably should be taught in school instead of, say, like female literature or something like that. It'd probably be good to teach people how to balance checkbooks and things like that, and teach them how the Constitution works. Okay. I see Joe
Great.
Brown is here. Is he causing trouble?
Not yet.
Okay.
Cody's question. He waters his hogs with a nipple water out of a 55-gallon barrel. At what age do I need to make sure the piglets have water in a pan?
They will go right from mom right to that water. The pan, you should do that just to get some experience on what they'll do with a pan. You'll put water in it, they'll tip it over. It's kind of funny, really. They just tip it over. I don't know why, but they do. Animals all kind of act the same. Once in a while you get a wild card on a certain animal, but they all generally do the same things. So the nipple water is really good if you have it hooked to a barrel. The problem is on that is you get algae growth in the inside of the barrel, and to combat that, you can just put like a cap full of Clorox in there and swish it around, and we'll keep it from algaeing up too much. Because if it gets too algae, then it'll plug it.
Water nipple is up too high for the piglets.
Oh,
I think you've put like a concrete block or something that they can even jump up on and get it before.
I did. Yeah, I did. And if you put a big concrete block in front of that, then water will drip down on there, and that's where they'll encounter it first, and they'll be nosing around because their mother will be there, and then they'll find that. You probably just need to lower it down for them because moms can scoot down and get it. Or make another one for them, you know, like build a creep, which would be an area where the piglets can get in, but the mother cannot, and have a separate one in there for them. And you could also have their creep feed in there, you know, special feed just for baby pigs. So that might be a good idea. Building a creep. A creep basically is a frame or a gate that the little pigs can get under, but the mom can't. And I actually build what we call loaders, and they double as creeps. So the baby pigs can get in, And then once the baby pigs are used to going into this little corral, we can drop the gate on it, and then we got them all, which is kind of important because you're going to have, boy, you smell that? It smells like
That's different. Like
You're-
dead cow mixed in
yeah,
there.
maybe she's got something.
No, she's got just a dry bone. So
Oh.
like,
Wow, that's horrible. Yeah, so the creep would be something where the baby pigs could get in, but the mother couldn't. And then when you want to close that down, that's really important to be able to catch those baby pigs when you want to castrate them or sell them off. You know, if they're all out there and you've got to figure out a way to catch them, you better have kids to do it. Enthusiastic ones too. I hate those guys. Next question.
okay. Oh, so his next question too, again, Cody. Do you grow apple trees? I just planted some new ones, and they recommend spraying them 3 times a year. Seems like a lot of chemicals.
Yeah, I got quite a few apple trees here. I think I got there's 3, 4, 5, and then the big one. And I don't know what you're supposed to spray for, so I guess I don't do that. I don't know. We don't spray.
Nope. Nope.
So, what did they? Who said you got to spray them, and what did they say you got to spray them with? And who's they anyway?
There's a lot of organic options. I remember talking to that guy at the farmer's market. So there's organic options, and we just keep the apples all picked up from under the tree, and
Yeah.
that cuts down a lot on all of your issues. And we just
That's,
have ugly fruit sometimes.
yeah. Imperfect apples. We're not going to have any on this tree this year. Every couple of years it doesn't produce anything. And several of the trees around, I've noticed, have nothing on them. That's the way it goes. So maybe you should plant other things too. Like I have cherry trees and I have a couple of peach trees, and they're doing pretty good. Peaches do pretty good right in here. They seem to. And I like peaches, so. And then I have a lot of bushes too, like raspberries. We have a lot of raspberries. A lot of raspberries. You get tired of eating raspberries after a while. Of course, I could go for a handful of them right now, and some of them are like, no joke, that big. It's like eating a strawberry.
All right. How good? Are you ready for another one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
How good are cows at identifying dangerous forage? Is there anything that farmers absolutely have to keep cows away from for their own good?
Yeah,
Because they're stupid.
I can only think of two things, and one of them I don't even. My cows have never touched it, and it's bracken ferns. And the only reason I know about that, a few years ago, we had a friend and one of his cows died, and people were saying, well, he must have ate a bracken fern. But then other people have told me that you have to work really hard to get a cow to eat a bracken fern. There could be like nothing else before they are going to do it. So that's all I know about that. I have a corner, my cows are on it right now, that's loaded with them, and they never have touched them. The other thing that I think you have to be very careful of, though, is alfalfa. Right, and alfalfa, when it is at a certain stage, and see, I don't know what stage that is, because I have a lot, but I usually cut it and yeah, and bale it. But then one year, I was letting the cows graze that field after I had cut it, so it probably had grown up about this tall, and there was you could see alfalfa was actually starting to flower, and the cows were out there eating it, and then I was like, oh no. And so I chased them all in, and I called a friend of mine that is a professional, you know, cattle guy, and I said, Pete, I think I did a bad thing. I told him what I did, and he says, oh no, don't worry about it. You're talking about an alfalfa field that is just all alfalfa and super, super thick and high. And what will happen is the cows will eat that and they will bloat on it. So my field was not that kind of field. You know, mine's sparsely. It's not a purely alfalfa field. It's various things, and alfalfa is just one of them. I see a big deer out there. All right. Let me see if Jill got up to go do something. Oh, that was it. That was the last one. So, is there any other questions that I could talk to you about? Maybe I can. SW 627. Okay. Thank you. All right. Smiley face. Thanks for the smiley face. Any other questions? My wife has stepped away from the podium. Anything? Yeah, the stink is wafting over, but it's not that bad. Not that bad yet. We're going to stare at each other. Pluck and scald. What about Johnson grass? Do y'all have it? Very toxic. No, don't have Johnson grass. Never heard of it. I never heard of Johnson grass. My operation is, and we've done both. We have done both. That was an interesting question. This just came up. Is there a certain type of person? But our operation, we did kill inside for a long time. And what happens when you're killing is the birds have a tendency to manure. When you take the chickens out of the chicken crates, they flap their wings and they throw up a lot of dust. So the way we do it now is we kill outside. So the chickens come through a window on a trapeze. It's like a rail, and then they're dunked from there. So there's very little dust involved, and all the blood is outside. Okay. The scalding, we do the scalding inside because if the scalder's outside and it's a windy day, it'll blow the pilot light out. But mine hasn't had a pilot light on it for a year now. It burned out, and I haven't replaced it, so I have to reach under there and light it a lot, and it's kind of a pain, and it's one of those things I need to fix. It's on my list. But scalding actually could be outside too, but you know, we do it inside, and then the next station is the plucker, so they're very close together. And you know, the inside, you're out of the rain and stuff, but the killer guy, me, I'm outside all the time. Candy bar?
Okay, kaleidoscope's question.
Okay.
Is there a particular type of person you would invite to join you in homesteading friends? Like sheriff, officer, fireman? Who do you want in your network? If possible.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but you can't.
Like what Charlie related to. Or no.
What
or
was it
Joe,
Charlie
no,
said?
No, Joe, maybe. Saying he's served with and knows all the people around him. So, if anyone complained, that would be his good buddy coming out to see him.
Yeah. I don't, in my experience, those things that you mentioned there, like firemen, yeah. Let's say I was going to pick a team and we were going to go live on an island and we had to depend on each other, and would I pick from there first? I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think the network is sort of like a body, It's sort of like let's say a human body. Um, let's say it's like a car, all right? It's a human body. That can go someplace. You gotta have different parts that do different functions. So it's nice to be able to ask a question. Hey, who knows how to do a Google spreadsheet? The fireman might not really know how to do that, or the sheriff might not know how to do that. The sheriff might be a great peacemaker. I know of a sheriff that was around here that was an absolute turd stirrer. I wouldn't want, so you couldn't really go by the handle that they are. It would be on the individual basis. So, like this group right here, we have all kinds of people. I don't think that we're not predominantly military. That was the thought for a while, but that was not the goal of this. There are people from all walks of life that benefit from a network like this, not just military. I have a lot of military friends that are not interested in farming at all. That's not their thing. And so it's hard to say that, military are drawn to farming, because that's not the case. It really isn't the case. Some of them find solace in it. I know I did. But I think for a lot of the reasons that I was mentioning before, the reality of the farm, it does test you. And it tests you at times that you didn't really think that you wanted to be tested. It tested me last night at 9:30. I thought we were done for the day. What are those black and white cows doing down there? Like, where did they get out? And so I kind of thought I knew. There was a raunchy post, and I kind of knew they'd get around to it sooner or later. Sure enough, they did. The same ones that always do stuff like that. And so we had to chase them back up and put them in and lock them in. And then this morning, me and Jim went out, and we were shifting them from the east side over to the west side, and then we have work to do over on the west side. So you get tested a little bit. And be honest with you, there's sometimes I say, why the hell do I do this? I don't have to do this. But you get through those times of testing, you get through it, and you say, all right. Because there's times when you say, how am I going to get those cows to go through this gate up here? How do you do that? And so you develop techniques after a while. Last night when I had gone down and I chased them up on my motorcycle, and it was a breeze. You know, I am able to stay behind them, and I go over. I go over to this side. They see me. I go to the left. They see me. They go to the right. I go to the right. They see me. So I can keep going back and forth and keep them in a slot, moving straight for the gate that I want them to go through. And then when they get there, they're trying to get away from me, so they can't go through the fence. They go through the gate, and it took me a long time to figure that out, because you see these cows that are out, and then you see this little gate that they go through, and it's like, how am I going to get them to go through there? You stand out and say, get back in that pen, get back in that, and they don't respond. And then you go out there and you hold out some grain, come on, and one or two of them will say, hey, we'll try this. But no, so you develop the techniques after a while, and then once you have it, it's like, I'm thinking, it doesn't worry me if they get out. It doesn't worry me. The other day when they got out and they wound up over at the miller's house, we had to go over there with a trailer, and I'd never put those particular cows in a trailer, and I thought for a minute there, this doesn't look like this is going to work out too well, but we got them in, and then got them home, and we were happy people. We went over as a family, actually, so it was a good thing to do as a family. There's a lot of opportunity for personal achievement in farming.
All right.
Well, was that the question? I don't even know what the question was.
I've got one more question off of here. And then I've got that other question from
Okay.
earlier.
Then that's 67 minutes, so let's
Yep.
keep it right there.
Kathleen wondered how the garden's coming.
Garden is coming awesome. And I can share a little tip. If you don't get in between your rows mulched good enough, because things got out of hand and you didn't get all the mulching that you wanted to, go down the rows with a weed whacker. Works phenomenal. Just take them down nice and low. Really good. I like doing it too. When I'm done, I look back and it looks really nice. So they say that you should have your corn be knee-high by the 4th of July, and our corn is definitely knee-high. So these days, these hot summer nights, you can hear it growing from in the house. We have to put a fan going on, or else we hear this creaking noise all night long, and that's the corn just growing. Garden's doing good. I got a lot of potatoes out there. And I don't have potato beetles yet. Bryce was saying he's getting hammered with bugs this year, and we really don't have much.
Haven't been too bad.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
So far, so good. We'll see.
So,
All right, the question from earlier this week: tusk trimming.
yeah.
Caitlin has a 2-year-old neutered manga. He's going to be around for life. He's beginning to get tusks. He's not aggressive unless someone's trying to eat his food. He's in a 5-acre pasture with a cow and 3 goats. The goats keep their distance, though. Do you recommend trimming his tusks? Do you trim your pig tusks if you have them for more than a year?
Well, no, I don't. I don't do that because it's brutal to do. I mean, imagine somebody reaching into your mouth with a bolt cutter and cutting off your eye teeth. So no, I don't do it. And it's probably the most dangerous situation that I allow to happen on the farm. My kids know the hazards of going in there and messing around with the boars. They know that. And if the boar gets them, it's just going to be a one shot, and it's not like a bull that would keep on pulverizing them into the ground. So a boar, and we can talk to Kathleen about the boar. What happens if you're going to have this guy around for life, he is going to develop some tusks. And a lot of, you say that he's not aggressive. It's not always his aggressiveness that is going to flip his switch and get you cut on the back of your leg like Kathleen did. If you are female and you are in, he will sense that, smell that, however he senses it, I don't know. And he will want to make you his woman. And even if he is castrated, he's still going to have some residual there. Not as much as a boar. A boar will, he'll make you his, and you're going to like it. But a castrated male, he's not going to be as, he's not going to press you as hard. But what they do is they get to swinging their head around, and they usually will walk past you and then swing back like this. Or you will have walked past them, like face to face, and they'll swing back around and they'll get you in the back of the leg, which can be pretty dangerous. Kathleen posted a picture of, scar on the back of her leg where she'd been stitched up, 14 stitches, looked pretty good. And I don't think that he was not liking her. I think he was just putting the moves on her, right? And then you may say, okay, then it will be safe for me as Kathleen's husband to be in there. Not necessarily, because the boar will view you as a rival for his quarry, and he will attack you. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to trim tusks, but if that dude's going to be there for life, Friendly Boy had tusks on him that were this long, and they were, when we finally did put him down, I got his tusks out, and they were razor sharp. So we had a dog here, actually two dogs, Pyrenees, that tried to get our boar back in. It was a winter that we had a lot of snow, and he just walked out, and they didn't like that, and they tried to get him back in, and he cut both of those dogs, one of them on both sides, twice on one side and once on the other side, and the cuts were this long, and they were right down to the ribs. It was bad. And the other dog cut her on the shoulder. It was bad, but she had this thick hair, and we didn't notice it until it was already coming back together, healing. And but it was bad. It was bad. If he'd have got her further back and got her in the guts, I think that would have been pretty ugly to see. Luckily, her ribs, protected her insides from his tusk. But he had a tusk that long, and it's just as sharp as a razor. A lot of times when they're chewing, they squeak together and they sharpen as they chew. So you've got to be careful with that. So I think if you're going to do it, there's a couple ways to do it, and one of them involves a bolt cutter, but you have to restrain the animal, and then he's not going to be too happy to see you the next time he sees you. And if you're keeping him forever, that means he must be some sort of pet, and so you're going to want to preserve your relationship with him. Maybe what you'd want to do is have the vet come out and give him a shot that'll lay him over, and do it that way, and then take him out with a bolt cutter that way. I had a pig, true story, Gordy, this is in Montana, and he was a Duroc, and no joke, when I hung him up, he was 13 feet long. He was like Hogzilla. One night we heard him just screaming, and I went out there with a flashlight, and he had hooked his tusk underneath a hog panel, and as soon as he hooked it under there, he just pulled back for all he was worth. and he was not going to pull it out. The place where it was at was connected to a structure. He was not going to pull it out. He just pulled back, and as he was pulling back, he's screaming. And I went and got a 2x4, and I pushed down on his bottom jaw to back him away. I couldn't move him. I put a bar, a pinch bar on there, you know, a steel pinch bar, a crowbar, and I wedged him up, but I cut the inside of his mouth badly doing that, and freed him from that, and he just looked at me, and things were not good between Gordy and I after that. And then he got stuck again, and a friend of mine had said to me, boy, if that ever happens again, you just go in there with a hammer and you whack that tooth and it'll break it off, and then he won't get it stuck again. So this next time that it happened at night. We had been asleep for a while, and he did it again on the other side. And I came back to the garage and got a sledgehammer, you know, just like a 10-pound sledge, and I went out there, crack, broke right off, and that was it. And it was shortly after that we took him in for slaughter. Okay, I'm at 76 minutes, so I'm going to sign off. Was there one? No more questions? Okay, thanks everybody for coming by. Remember, anyone can farm. Come on by tomorrow night, and let's talk a little bit more about agents of hope. All right, good night.